Yo, what's up? I just watched Extraction. This is gonna be really quick, which sucks because I actually have a lot to say about this. But I was like on a phone call with a friend, and before I got to record this, and it's really late. Don't feel like talking about. So Extraction stars Chris Hemsworth, and oh my god, I've been really bad at remembering the actors and stuff. It stars Chris Hemsworth, and I forget who the director is. It's produced by the Russo brothers and Chris Hemsworth, and they help with the story. It's an adaptation of a comic book. The director will be in the title, because I think it's an important name to know, especially for this movie. It follows the story of Chris Hemsworth is called in. He's kind of an ex-mercenary, and he has to extract this young boy in India who has been captive. There's like two drug lords, and he is the son of one of the drug lords, the Indian boy, and the enemy drug lord has taken him captive. And this is, I would probably say, so this movie is a Wick-like, which is the word. It's a John Wick clone, which I call it a Wick-like because it is a genre. Okay, there's Extraction, there's Polar, there's Nobody, which I haven't seen yet. It's a thing. Deal with it. And it's probably the best Wick so far. I haven't seen Nobody, and I don't even know if that counts because that's kind of in the John Wick universe. Anyways, and where this movie excels is 100% the action. I'm going to go and say, so I believe that the quality of the action goes up through the John Wick movies. Like, the first movie has, I'm going to say it, the first movie's the most iconic, and I think the best one, but it has the worst action. I'm going to come out and say it now. And I would say that Extraction is, on par with John Wick 3 in terms of action. Definitely is better than 1 and 2. Extraction is some of the best action, melee, just straight up choreographed, zero VFX, martial arts stunts you will see an action in any movie. And they're so punchy and visceral, and they do not hold back, and they're incredibly just creative, and they hit so hard, and it's brutal. They make a great use of guns and knives. It's shot in a different style than John Wick. It's a lot closer, and I'll get to the shooting in a bit, but it's more Western in the sense that it's more sort of closer and tighter and shakier. But it is brutal, and I think Chris Hemsworth did a lot of his own stunts, and he sells it well. His physicality and everyone else in this movie is awesome. The stunt doubles and stunt actors and stunt performances, action performances in this movie are amazing. They're so just chaotic, but so well defined. You can see everything that's going on, and this is one of the few movies where I think it's the only movie where I will repeatedly just be making noises. I'll just be going, I'll watch it and just uncontrollably be going, because it hits you so hard, and it's so awesome. And I'm going to talk about it now, and I'm going to try and not talk about this for 5 minutes. The cinematography of these fighting scenes, in terms of how the camera's moving and the composition of them, is amazing. There is no other movie that does this. So what a lot of people credit John Wick for is bringing back that sort of Hong Kong, Chinese action movie style where everything is shot smoother and wide and a lot wider, and more rhythmic. It's the sort of opposite. It's the response to the Jason Bourne movies. And this is not like the John Wick movies. Everything is still mostly tight, and it is shaky, it is handheld. This movie was shot on a red Monstro 8K digital cinema camera, and that is a small camera. You can hold it in you can probably just hold it in one hand, the body of it. And almost every action scene, it's not even on someone's shoulder. You can tell that it's just the camera and a lens with a monitor on top of it, and then just two handles on the side. And it is shaky, but it is so amazingly choreographed. You can see I don't know how many times they had to rehearse all these fights, and there's like this amazing action sequence throughout the middle of the movie that's probably like 15-20 minutes, and it's made to look like one shot. And you can see where the cuts are, but it's made to look like one shot. So within the camera never cuts. And it looks so good. It is so well rehearsed, and the camera is shaking, but it's shaking like with their movements. And this camera operator, like, he's an athlete. He's constantly like ducking with their hits, and the camera's mirroring and accenting the body language of the performance in such a visceral way that looks so good and feels so punchy. And like, like I said 4 seconds ago, this camera operator must be in amazing shape because he's like ducking underneath the actors and swinging around. There's like this crazy clip of like to film a car chase. They just have him like strapped to like the roof of a car, and then to like as they go into like as they slow down, he like jumps off and kind of moves around and jumps back on the car. It's insane, and it looks so good, and it pays off. Like, this is clearly a movie, and if you look at the credits, everyone has multiple roles, and it was produced by a lot of different people. This is definitely a movie where I get the vibe that people cared about this movie. Like, it was definitely a passion project, and the action is phenomenal. It feels like a video game in the sense that the camera is responding to the movement. Like, if you've ever played something like God of War or Assassin's Creed, a game that has a lot of like fighting and a high production budget and an emphasis on the camera, like it is that level of like the camera, but way higher because it's a movie, of the camera like responding to the action. It looks good. So that is the highlight of this movie. Is the action in this movie is amazing. Every fight is great. Chris Hemsworth and whoever his stunt double is, and everyone else, amazing job. I'm sorry I don't know the names of the other actors. So let's move to the second half of this. So, story. What is the story like? The premise is cool. I think the premise is fun. I think on a larger note, the story works on a scene-by-scene basis. There are some pretty like intense story scenes of characters talking, and it gets your brain, you're invested, you're interested in these characters, although the characters aren't interesting. I couldn't tell you any sort of unique qualities besides like this character's damaged and this character blah blah blah. Like, they sort of said at the beginning, an idea at the beginning, that Chris Hemsworth is like really old and sort of jaded in his career in a sense, and he's just doing these missions with the expectation that one day he'll die, and he sort of dies at the end of the movie, although whatever, I won't spoil it. That's a spoiler. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But anyways, and there's these different ideas, but they don't play with them a lot, and it never goes anywhere. I think the biggest problem with this movie is it's not stylish. Like, it's not it's stylish. It's not stylized. It's a comic book adaptation, but it's not like John Wick, which is hyper stylized, and all of the one-liners are these big, like, dramatic, awesome, like 5-star one-liners, and that's kind of just how the characters talk, and they feel like these massive, like, iconic, fuck yeah characters. And this is not Extraction. Extraction is very straightforward. And it's trying to be real. And I think that works against it. Like, there's scenes in this movie that's like trying to question the, like, child soldiers. And like, is it ethical to kill child soldiers if it saves your life, right? Like, big concepts that, considering how intense and over the top and admittedly goofy some of the action is, just because it is like so awesome, it feels weird to go from like just being the like massive ape brain enjoyment of these action scenes that are clearly just meant to like titillate you, to like being like, oh, like now I'm supposed to care about this like all these ethical questions. And it is enjoyable and it's fun. It's not super cool, like the story isn't cool, but it works. I think it could have been better, but also if it's an adaptation of a comic book, like whatever at that point. If this movie was aware and tried to like poke at John Wick and kind of established itself as the John Wick opponent, I think that would have been awesome. That's okay. But it works. It's fun. It's the scenes are cool. The sort of the drama's there. And that's good enough, and that's all you want. And it works. The what's his name who plays like Hopper from Stranger Things plays a character, and it's actually the scene he's in. He's only in there for like one scene, but it's a great scene, and it's like really discreet. Like that's the thing with this whole movie is the story's really discreet, as in like there's not a whole lot that really goes between each vignette of like drama and talking thematically. I'm gonna try and end this soon because we're at 10 minutes already. Last thing I'm gonna touch on is. This is a white savior movie. Like, this movie takes place in India, and almost all the characters are Indian, except a couple of the, like, really good mercenaries, which are white people, and they call in Chris Hemsworth. And, like, it's not a big deal, and I think it has more something to do with because it was produced by the Russo brothers, they, like, oh, yeah, we can, like, get Chris Hemsworth in here, and it's awesome to be able to make your movie and have Thor play your main character. But it rubs me along... it feels a little bit weird to me, just like, yeah, we have to call in this white guy from another continent to come and say this, because he's the only guy who can do it, which the movie, there are, like, lines that say that, like John Wick or whatever. And it's also, like, it takes place in India, but it also doesn't really do much besides the fact that it's, like, a developing nation with a lot of crime and drug problems. It doesn't do much to sort of give you a reason why it's in India other than that, like, it looks nice to just be in these kind of, like, down neighborhoods. But yeah, that's that. And, this movie's cool. It actually wears its John Wick influence. It's definitely there. Even in the premise, like, the movie starts very, very similar to John Wick, and there are a lot of, like, elements that's like, oh yeah, that's the same thing. But it's cool, it's unique enough that it's worth your time, and the action is like nothing you've ever seen before. If you like stuff like John Wick, you will love Extraction. Even though that I think it has admittedly less personality. And because of that, I'm going to give it a 7.25 out of 10. Maybe a 7.5. But go check it out. This is a 12-minute long video. It's way too long. Bye-bye. See you. I'll post the actors in the description. Okay, I should stop talking. I have to go to sleep. Bye.